Welcome back to Contour and Candor. This is part 3 of my cardiac crisis. This is my second time trying to film this. I went about 5 minutes before I realized that I was not recording. Okay, so you'll see I've got some makeup on my face, but that's why. I wasn't trying to fake y'all out. I just messed up. So where we left off was I had just had my second surgery because my sternum had fractured and my rib cage was not intact, and little pieces of bone and metal hooks that were trying to close the gap had to be retrieved from my chest cavity. And so they didn't close me up, and they left a black sponge about this thick in my chest. So while I was still out of it, my poor mom, she was so afraid of what my reaction would be, because her reaction when she saw like this huge black sponge that was bridging the gap in my chest, she was horrified, and she just thought, what is my daughter going to say when she wakes up and finds this in her chest? So I don't remember a ton from that period of time because my health really was failing, even after they dug stuff out and all of that. But I do remember waking up and looking down when I finally came out of the anesthesia, and I went, oh, okay, well, so what's the plan? And she was like, how are you not freaking out right now? Because I just knew, I mean, there had to be a way. We're not going to leave this big sponge in my chest, so let's talk about what's next. Yeah, so that was a hard time. That was a very hard time. And I think it was during this time that I had what I call the dark night of my soul. And that was, so I am very sensitive to certain medications. And I did not know that, and it runs in my family. I should have known, because my grandmother had it, my dad's mom, my dad has it, and now we find out I have it. So I am allergic to benzodiazepines. And I want to say it was the night or the night after. It could have been after my third surgery, but we're just going to go with my second surgery because it's really an important moment in my life overall and in my journey during this time. So, oh yeah, let me just quickly show you Dark Night of the Soul. Let me talk about foundation. No, this is the Versed foundation again. I'm kind of on a kick with this because it is a serum foundation and it has an SPF of 40, which I really like. The color seems pretty good. I moved my makeup mirror over here so I can see better than if it's behind the camera, but I know it might be annoying for y'all, and I apologize. But I keep walking out of doing my makeup, getting in the car, and realizing, oh my, I've not blended well enough. Okay, so the dark night of my soul. So they were giving me benzodiazepine. I forget, but benzodiazepines. I think that's what it is. It's on my medical alert. Yeah, my medical alert, you basically need a magnifying glass because there's so much on there. Great. I hope I didn't just show the world my phone number, but as if the world's watching this. Who are we kidding? Anywho, so I was hallucinating, and I did not know I was hallucinating. And so they kept giving me more benzos to try and calm me down, which I guess is the purpose of a benzo. But no. When you have Page family genes, as I do, it makes you more and more hyper, and you apparently hallucinate. So at first I thought I was in this race car in my night nurse's apartment, and the race car was in his living room, and he was making coffee or something. And I'm like, why am I in a race car bed, like a little kid race car bed? I remember that so vividly. And then the other thing is I was walking through the hospital, and it was like a scene from Alias. And if you've ever watched that show, it's an amazing show from, I want to say, the 90s or the 2000s. And Jennifer Garner's character was like under this weird medication, and she had this dream where she was fighting with herself, and she's walking through this like hospital, and there are all of these plastic, almost like shower curtains that she has to walk through. And that's what exactly was happening in my dream. And I was like, I'm dead. I cannot believe this is heaven. This is such a ripoff. This is not heaven. This can't be heaven. This is terrible. Like, I know I'm in heaven because I know the Lord. I trust the Lord. I know I'm in heaven, but I'm really disappointed in heaven. And I mean, it's funny now, but it really was not funny at the time. It was the most like depressing thing in the world. So for like 2 hours, I thought I was dead. That is a terrible feeling. Cannot recommend that one. Anyway, so the amazing night nurse, Juan, who I mean, he basically saved my life. He said to the doctors, maybe we should stop giving her benzos and see if that's what is making her so clearly agitated. And boy, was he right. So yes, so one of the things on my medical alert is allergic to benzos. Yeah, so just a side anecdote in the story, but it wasn't important. It was a very, very important time. And so the most important part I'm now skipping over, sorry. No, we're going to save that. So that was not the dark night of my soul. That was the night I thought I died. We'll get to the other one. It's good, though. It's so good. Okay, so trying to keep this shorter. So what happened next was they brought in the plastic surgeons, and the plastic surgeons did this thing, and this new surgery. So the sponge came out, yay, but I woke up with just this unbelievable vice grip feeling in my chest. I'm doing this, you can't really see, but it was like squeezing. It was like a vice had been installed in my chest and was squeezing my chest. And it was so painful. It was so unbelievably painful. And so I kept thinking, okay, when does that end? It doesn't. It doesn't end. It has gotten definitely better than at the beginning, but it is still the reality of my life. I still have that pain every day, all the time. And as an added bonus, because it is pulling forward and my back, tries to right itself, I'm constantly battling back pain versus front pain, back pain versus front pain. And that's just where they left me. So let's get to the big dark night of my soul. I think it had something to do with the fact that Lisa Marie Presley had just died of a heart attack. And Lisa and I were born the same year. And so from the time I was young, they would do stories on Elvis's little girl. And it was kind of like a benchmark in life because we were the same age. And so when she died, and she had 4 children, one of whom had a predeceased her, and she had 2 girls who were, I want to say 11, twin girls. And I felt like, why did I get to live when she didn't? And she has these two precious little girls who need her, and another daughter who is just becoming a mom herself, who needs her. That was really hard because I have wonderful nieces and nephews who I adore. I never got the chance to be a mother of humans. And, I really struggled with that. And to be honest, I still struggle with it. Although I trust that God's wisdom is, higher and better. I know it is, obviously, than mine. But I have a hard time. My sister just lost a friend, my oldest sister, and, her daughter, she was engaged to be married. Her daughter was 21 years old, and that's hard for me. I have a bit of survivor's guilt. Anyway, my oldest sister, I should give her a big shout out. She came down and helped my mom. It became very clear that I was not going to be able to take care of myself after I got out. And I was not going to be able to jump back into full-time work. And so they cleaned out my townhouse and put everything in storage. And my dad helped when he came down as well. But I never got to go back to my house. So, yeah. All right, sorry. That's harder to say than I thought it would be. So then, Dark Night of the Soul. Oh, okay. This is good. And this is good for all of y'all because, okay. So after Lisa Marie died, and I found myself slipping mentally, like just having trouble following conversations. And I knew it was mental. I knew that there was something like that I was slipping. And it was almost like I had this decision, like to stay or to go, honestly. And so one night I couldn't sleep. I had anxiety, which I'm not really prone to it unless you put me on benzos, and then you know what happens. So, so I had anxiety, and it was the middle of the night. I'm just praying and praying and praying. And so I opened my Bible app, and I'm reading, and I'm not reading, again, I'm kind of out of, like, I'm not myself. So I don't have a schedule I'm following in the Word of God, or, somehow I come upon Psalm 27:13, and it says, I remain confident in this. Surely I will see the goodness of God in the land of the living. And I just knew. I knew I was going to make it. I knew that God was present with me, that I was not alone in this. Not that I was alone, because I have the most amazing family in the world. But I knew I was not alone, that God was right there with me, and that he was making me a promise that I would see, as the psalmist David did see, but that it was for me in that moment. And I know Scripture is, some things are written for all of us. Some things are written based on a human experience, as one person's experience. And this was one of those times where that was written for David was talking about his own experience, his own promise from the Lord. But the Lord in that moment made that my promise. I don't know how else to describe it. And I knew with certainty that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And I have. And I want to testify to that. I have. And the other thing I got was a moment of clarity. And I needed 4 things. And I said this the next day when the attending came in. I said, okay, I need 4 things. And these are non-negotiables. 1, y'all have to find a way to wash my hair. I don't care. Now, remember, at the time, I just had my 3rd surgery, and I actually had open wounds that had not healed. It's called wound dehiscence. I had the wound dehiscence, which means that I cannot get water in there, can't get soap in there, can't get anything in there. So I said, I don't care what you have to do. You're going to wash my hair. You're going to figure it out. Figure it out. And I know that sounds like it's not important. It was so important to me feeling like me again. So yes. And then I said, so that's 1. 2, I am going to get out of this room every day. And I'm going to see the water. So the water, there's a river that runs through Jacksonville. And the hallway I was on, at the very end of the hall, there's a giant window, floor-to-ceiling window, that overlooks the river. And I said, I don't care how you do it, but I'm getting out of this room every single day, and I'm going to see the water. And while my daddy was there, he took me every single day down to see the water in a wheelchair, and I got out of that room. And that was so healthy for my mind. And to see the water, which has always meant the water is essential to my soul. So yeah, that was huge. Okay, 3, I said, I need to talk to a therapist because I'm slipping. And I did eventually, and that's a funny story. And then 4, I said, I want to see my dog. I don't care if it's against hospital regulations. Make it happen. Like, we'll figure it out. But I'm going to see my dog. So my sweet cousin Julie brought her in, and one of the guys on the physical therapy team took me down, and I got the chance to see her and snuggle her. And I smelled differently, so she was kind of like standoffish at first, but eventually she realized it was her mama. And you know, my voice was so raspy because I had been intubated, and I didn't sound like myself, I didn't smell like myself, but she knew me. And that was wonderful. But the fun story, and I'll wrap this up, the fun story about the therapist. So for whatever reason, the therapist could not come into the hospital. So he calls me from his home. He calls me, and I'm in my hospital room, and he says to me, do you know who Christopher Reeve is? And I'm like, yeah, I know who Christopher Reeve is, Superman. Of course I do. And he goes, you need to think about Christopher Reeve. What? And I'm thinking, is he trying to tell me that at least I don't have it as bad as Christopher Reeve had it? What? I don't know. So after that, I just went, okay, all right, well, thank you for calling. And it clicked in my head. I was like, I'm going to be just fine, because I know enough to know that is ridiculous. I mean, who says that? Who says that? Okay, so I ended up staying in, I was in 4 hospitals in total. And I finally got released from the second hospital. I got sent to rehab. That was a fight to even get me into physical rehab. And I only stayed, I think I ended up staying like 11 days. But, you know, I got to take my first hot shower, and that was amazing. And I'm grateful to the the therapist who helped me do that, and to all the therapists there. They were great. The nurses, they're not so great. They bruised me literally while I was being admitted and got into my room. I had a nurse manhandling me, trying to take photos of my entire body so that they could prove they didn't abuse me and that any of the bruises that I had on my body were there when they brought me in. It was terrible. It was terrible. That should never happen to a patient. And I did not consent, and I said, you need to stop. And she did, but she was not happy about it. Yeah. I mean, most of the other nurses were fine. I shouldn't say they weren't. But that experience was a low, let me tell you. So yeah, so I was very sick while I was there. But I was walking. I was like a child leash where they're like you're tethered and you're walking, and they have a chair, and then as soon as you have to sit down, they shove a chair underneath you. I was trying to go upstairs, all of that stuff. And like even brushing my teeth, I couldn't stand long enough, like trying to build up the strength to brush my teeth while standing. I mean, it's incredible what every day in the hospital does to you in terms of weakening you. So anyway, I did eventually get out. I know why. I was saying I was sick. I was sick, and they kept x-raying my chest every day. And it was so bizarre. So I get out, and my parents had rented this because we couldn't go back to my apartment. One, stairs were like really big. And two, I think by then I had given up the apartment, not the apartment, the townhouse. And anyway, so my parents had rented this beautiful apartment overlooking the ocean at the King and Prince on St. Simon's. It was so beautiful. And by then, I think Tilly had gone to stay with my friend Claire and my friend Jim, husband and wife, and she was hanging out on St. Simon's with them. So I got to be reunited with my Tills, and it was wonderful. But I only made it a day there before I went to, I was so sick. I was so sick. And it turned out I had double pneumonia and a pleural effusion, and they had let me out with this. And so I ended up back in the hospital, back in Brunswick, and then transferred yet again. And it was my worst nightmare, and I ended up back in the cardiac unit in Florida. So that's the end of part 3. Oh, I'll put mascara on, but I won't keep you all for that. But that's the end of part 3, and I will see you for part 4 tomorrow. Thank you for those of you who are watching this. I really appreciate it. It's therapeutic for me to talk about, I guess, and hopefully it helps somebody else. Like, A, God is with you. B, you're tougher than you know. And C, the way out is the way through. All right, bye.